Before I begin, I want to make a big announcement. The full Igbo calendar is now available for your Apple and Google Calendar. I have created a calendar that tells the 13 moons, 4 market days, and different holidays and correlating rituals across the whole of Igbo land, as well as breakdowns of what they mean and the stories behind them. This is available for all patrons who join our community to support this channel at patreon.com/The Medicine Show.
Nsibidi is a three-part communication culture that is made up of gestural Nsibidi, or Nsibidi Sign Language, spoken Nsibidi, as well as ideographic written Nsibidi, which is the form most of the world is familiar with today. I will explain Nsibidi Sign Language and spoken Nsibidi shortly, but to understand the core nature of the language, it's best to start with the written form. Nsibidi is written in a code of ideographs. An ideograph is a symbol that represents thoughts or concepts as opposed to sounds as we have in the phonetic systems that we often use today. Because each unit in the language represents a whole idea rather than a sound, ideographic languages such as Nsibidi are universal and do not need to be translated when switching from one language to another. This nature gives it two advantages. The first is that Nsibidi is not read in a single structured format, neither up or down nor left or right, but instead images are observed as a collective whole, and the narrative is decoded by putting all symbols in context with each other. This makes the language ideal for art, decoration, and the building of manifestation sigils, which I'll elaborate on shortly. Decoration at shrines or embellishment on cloth tell long-form narratives with a great deal of flexibility in presentation and expression. The second major advantage is that symbols do not need to change based on the language of the speaker, and from this, an Efik speaker can communicate their thoughts with an Igbo or Oran speaker without needing to translate. Because of this convenience, Nsibidi grew as a language of its own, spreading from the Cross River region to southwest Cameroon and across the southeast of Nigeria, forming a connective fabric of communication across this diverse region, and even finding its way in the New World, which I'll also explain shortly. An ideogram is one level of abstraction removed from a pictogram, in the sense that each unit of an ideogram is tied to concepts rather than appearance. In a pictogram, images are literal or close to literal translations of what they mean. So the image of a bird comes to mean bird, and the image of a person comes to mean person. In ideographic writing, these concepts become loose abstractions of themselves, though often loosely based on the appearance of the concept, and at times easily recognizable. For example, this is the symbol for person. When bent to the right, it becomes man, and when bent to the left, it becomes woman. When the symbols intersect, they become love, union, family, and relationship. When the symbol of a third person is placed between them, they become division, conflict, breakup, or fight. When the symbol for talk is placed on the edge of each, it becomes a verbal argument. When the symbol of weapon is placed in the picture or on each side, it becomes violent conflict. And when the symbol for stranger, which is the symbol for person minus a leg, is placed in the picture, it becomes arbiter or dispute settler. And from there, this image says, a man and a woman, once happily in love, were divided when a spoiler came between them. Because of this, they exchanged words, and from there, the conflict became violent. It was then that judges from a neighboring community were called to settle the dispute. As you see from the example, the more symbols added to a picture, the more specific the message becomes, allowing for nuance and differentiation within the multiple symbols of a single idea. I can then add signs for tying, confinement, isolation, the number 4, and once again the symbol for unity between the couple. With these symbols forming the core of my script, anything I add in any order will give context to the grander story. For further detail, I can add the symbol for promiscuous woman and the symbol for child. And now the story gives the narrative of a man and a woman, once happily in love, were divided when a promiscuous woman and the cheating husband had a child outside of marriage. Because of this, the couple exchanged words, and soon the argument became violent on both ends. It was then that 3 judges from a neighboring community met with 3 judges from the host community to make a decision on the case. Finally, it was decided that the husband would spend 4 years in isolation before he was reunited with his wife and new child. This specific story is loosely based on an ancestral court document preserved by a visiting European in the village of Enyong, and serves today as a great example of Nsibidi in its practical use.